Exactly.
I would
That's what.
never drag you onto a spicy podcast.
That's why I'm asking if I need to end the call now.
No, man. When do I talk crazy?
That's true. Good point.
When
What
would
was
I
I
ever do?
think? Must have you confused with somebody else.
Yeah, probably. Some other guy. All right. Welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. It's just Ben and Joel today. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not really sure. What do you say, Joel?
No, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I suppose so. So each of us has a topic we'd like to talk about, and I've got a question that might take you to a spicy place, Joel.
Oh boy.
No, it won't. It'll be fine.
You know me. I love spicy
do.
conversation.
I do know you. You love taking a position on a controversial issue on the internet.
I do. Yeah. I find it to be very productive.
It's very productive. Definitely. What you need to do is go on Facebook and tell people how you're voting on any issue.
Yeah,
and then make sure you let them know how stupid they are if they don't do the same thing.
Yeah, especially like during the presidential elections. Like, oh, you're so dumb. You're voting for this. Let me tell you about this. Well, did you know about this? Like, waste your whole day and not accomplish anything.
All right, Joel. Well, you have a thing you want to talk about. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'm worried about yours, so go ahead. You can go first.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this isn't really specifically related to any topic, so don't try to draw too many parallels here or try to read between the lines for what I'm saying, because I want to be pretty specific. If you're listening and Joel's afraid this is going to get crazy, it's not. Okay. So I've seen a lot of comments on the internet lately, and I've made comments on this podcast, I'm sure. But hey, GM card doesn't really mean all that much. That sort of stuff. Is this the direction we want to go with it, Joel? Are we okay so far?
I'm just along for the ride. You're good. I'm following.
Yeah. Well, okay. So as part of the recent sort of cheating scandal, that's where a lot of these comments came out. Like, who cares if this and this, like that GM ranking doesn't mean that much. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think it really does mean as much these days. It doesn't. There was a time when it did. It maybe doesn't mean as much as it used to. And I mean that like in a very functionally. So let's say, Joel, we have nationals coming up. So if people are, I imagine will be listening to this after nationals.
I believe so. Yeah.
The guys that have a good chance of winning nationals, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe we take 5 names, maybe 10 names of those guys that got a pretty good shot.
Yep.
But then there'll be maybe 30, 40 other guys. I haven't looked at the numbers. I don't really know. But there'll be a bunch of other dudes with GM cards shooting production nationals or shooting single stack national or whatever the case may be that don't really have a chance to win the nationals. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of other guys that don't go to nationals. Like let's say there's plenty of guys that are GMs that are not relevant really competitively at a national level. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not saying that to dump on anybody. That's just the reality.
Well, to explain also, that's because the bar has been raised over the years. So there could be somebody that was a GM 10 years ago that maybe was the heat at the time, but as the bar's been raised, maybe their skill level hasn't increased.
Or people get older and they stop training as much. All that's fine. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing in light of lots of people getting GM cards, and now I would say it is much, much harder to get one through the classification system than it used to be. Mm-hmm. Anyway, just the idea, hey, GM cards don't mean anything is kind of it's a very prevalent opinion. And I do some thinking about this, and I'm like, yeah, they don't really mean that much anymore. But I remember when they used to, and I remember for me, it was kind of, it was like the first thing I really was trying to do in USPSA. It's like, hey, it just makes sense to me to get my stand and shoot skills to the GM level, get a GM card, and then kind of turn my attention to competing in bigger matches and learning how that stuff works. That was the flow I took. And for me, getting a GM card was a big accomplishment back in the day. I think I was the 13th one in production.
Wow.
Yeah, this was a long time ago, Joel.
Yeah.
I'm a crusty old fuck at this point.
Well, dude, I've shot just as long as you do. I just took a really long time to get semi-okay at the sport, so.
Well, I don't think you were trying that hard for a lot of that, in fairness.
Maybe.
Okay, so, but the idea, like, the idea that occurred to me that, hey, wouldn't it be nice if it did mean something? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be cool if it did? And then I kind of thinking like, hey, if certain things happen, and like let's say USPSA is not a thing anymore, or some other thing replaces USPSA as the predominant shooting sport, then a lot of USPSA sort of achievements would, hey, those things don't really mean that much. So I don't know. It struck me that I think it would be nice if a GM card meant something. Again, that would be nice. I would like that. I'd be like, yeah, that's cool.
I remember specifically the day I got mine, because it was an all classifier match. So at our club they do 6 or 7 in one match. I'm like, hey, if this goes well, I think maybe of that match, like I needed 4 of them to count, something like that. Yeah. And so I made it like maybe 3 or 4. Like the majority of the score came from that one match. Yeah, I was ecstatic that night. So my friend Cody, who has like all the hit factors all dialed in, he's doing the math. I'm like, I don't know. I'll just wait and see what happens on Tuesday. And of course, he's got all the math, and he's like, no, dude, you made it. You made it by whatever, 0.5% or something like that. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I really hope it does. Then when it came out, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this is something I really wanted to do, and I made it. So at the time, that was awesome. And then as I've got better, now I would say that was cool. I made that goal, but now I have other goals that I want to do. So
right. And you don't have any sort of reaction, positive or negative, when people are like, yeah, GM cards, they don't mean shit.
It does prove that you're able to do some skills, but not all the skills. So like match management.
You're telling me what you think, Joel, not like how you feel.
Not just anyone can get a GM card.
That's true.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're any good at shooting, just real talk. It means you can probably draw the gun. You can draw the gun fast. You can transition fast. So you're probably good at close range shooting. If I had to guess or to put a skill like that I was picking mostly, because it doesn't talk about match management, like the mental side of it, distance shooting. So like to pick on me as an example, I got a GM card, I don't know, a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, but there was a lot of stuff I did wrong. And that didn't necessarily mean that I was good at a match performance in a nationals type of an 18-stage match, but I could like hammer the crap out of close range, fast shooting, drawing and loading the gun fast, that I was very good at. So it means you're good at some things, but not all things. And I don't know how you would make a test to be like.
Oh no, I'm not advocating for any change. I'm just saying it'd be nice if it meant something. It meant something more than it used to, because it has been sort of I don't want to say degraded, maybe diluted a little bit, maybe.
Well, a popular opinion, well, something I've heard said is, it's like currency. The more you print, the less it's worth.
That's what I said.
It is, but I wasn't going to throw out your name unless you want to. Yes, that is something you've said that I agree with very much. So I look at Steel Challenge, and I've got friends. So it's like,
it's like those things, they're like currency, in that they're worth what it says on the face of it. But the more of them I print, the less all of them are worth.
Mm-hmm. So like Steel Challenge, I mean, I know we have people at our club that have 3-4 GM cards.
In Steel?
In Steel Challenge, yeah. But maybe in USPSA, maybe they are B class. You know what I mean? So, I mean, maybe the times are wrong. I know this year I don't want to get into it, but I know they adjusted the times this year to lower them because they're making it tougher. So maybe it was easier for people to get in, but it's like, yeah, everybody's a GM then. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of makes it less special.
Well, yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the one where I compare money to pussy?
No.
I just had to try to get a reaction out of you.
That was a funny conversation, but no.
Yes, not podcast appropriate, Ben. What are you thinking? Okay, that's enough for me, Joel. You want to talk about practice partners, so let's have at it.
I do. Well, I've been fortunate enough to have several guys that I train with regularly, and I think some people really miss the boat when they are picking a training partner. Oh, I thought your
Wait,
number.
wait. You get to pick? You get to pick training partners?
Yeah.
Yeah. See where I live. I'm like not spoiled for choice like you are, Joel.
Well, I know a guy that invited you to come stay and has like your room all like ready, like bedding's cleaned, all that stuff like ready for you. But it snowed this morning and it's supposed to snow another like 2 inches tomorrow. So
Yeah, it will not be snowing where I live tomorrow.
no, jealous.
So if the weather there were like 10% better than where I am right now, I would happily come train with you, Joel. But it's not in the cards for me right now. Well, I should say it's not in the cards for you.
This is true. So anyway, first off, I think skill level is not as important as motivation and focus. So to me, it doesn't really matter how good they are, but if they aren't motivated, they get sidetracked easily, then that's a problem. So,
wait, Joel, I'll say this. I think skill level's good, and that if they're better than you, that's really good.
I agree.
Okay. Just to be real clear, training with somebody who is actually better is going to level you up.
For sure.
Okay.
But so I've trained with people above and below my skill level, and I think both have been productive. Yeah, the next place I was going to go to is if they are better than me, for sure it sharpens me more. And if they are not up to my skill level, I still get stuff from that. But yes, I would prefer to train with a strong guy if I have the chance, of course. The setup for practice I like best is you set up a drill or some type of like little scenario. The first person shoots the drill 3 to 5 times, while the second person loads mags. You score them together as you pass.
Isn't this just what we did?
This is exactly what we do.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. I'm telling you nothing new. I'm sorry. So
no, and that's important for that, like, so you're not standing there like chit chatting all the time or fucking around. Like, yep. I can't stand waiting.
Yes.
So it's like, for me, if I'm training with another guy, I can shoot almost as much as I would shoot by myself. Mm-hmm. If not, having the other person there like motivates me a little more. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll shoot even more. So the idea is when I'm training by myself, I'm either shooting or I'm filling magazines or I'm pasting. Mm-hmm. I'm always doing something that is productive. And if you have 2 people, you can still operate that way. You just like both people just have to be on the point. That's why Joel's, you're laying it out like, hey, this is why it's like this, and it's because you don't want to be fucking around.
Yeah, taking the words out of my mouth. Exactly. So like I was saying, the first person shoots, second person's loading mags. Second, you score the targets together. So like, hey, Ben, what's up with all these deltas? Whatever. Like that's keeping you honest because we're looking at the targets together. Not that would ever happen, but what if? And then the second person shooting, while they're shooting, I'm loading mags. And so I trained with a friend recently who was very concerned he was slowing me down. And that wasn't the case at all. I'm like, look, dude, you're just shooting while I load mags. So you're not slowing me down at all.
Yeah, they should slow you down.
Yeah, no, not at all. He was just shooting the dead time that I was loading mags. So I think it's a good idea to watch each other shoot as you're loading mags also.
Yeah, so you're filling and you just kind of like casually keep an eye on the other guy a little bit.
And in some situations, like if, it depends on the situation if they want that, I'll be commenting or telling them, the other person what I'm seeing as I load mags, maybe after the rep or after all the set. And they do the same for me. So I'd be like, hey, it looks like you're really over aiming here. What do you think about just using a flashier fiber on this target? What do you think about that? Or, hey, you're really getting way better coming in low and setting up wide. That's awesome. That's definitely better. Where the person shooting it.
Oh my God, you're so encouraging, Joel.
That's how I work, man. That's how I roll. But otherwise, like the person, maybe they wouldn't realize that. Where I'm like, hey, you're always standing straight up. Like, yes, that's it. That's what we're looking for. So, but you get the same set of eyes then on you. Because then when I'm shooting, it's like, I don't know. Maybe they look at me and they're like, hey, have you noticed your grip appears to change based on the difficulty of the target?
It might just be like you could say, hey, keep an eye out for this. This is a thing I'm working on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It may not even be like, hey, you go like, hey, you're doing this wrong. Basically, if you're observing, the guy can just say, this is what I'm trying to do. Just watch this. Watch a run and just tell me what you think.
Yeah.
So it's a way for you to get really quick feedback.
Mm-hmm. And that saves you the hassle of like videoing yourself and replaying the video and that kind of crap. It's just all in real time. So, and maybe you, especially if it's a stronger guy, somebody you want to bounce ideas off of. Like I was thinking when we train together. It's like, hey, what do you think about coming in on this plate compared to the tuxedo? Which way is smarter? And so, like you shot it both ways, I shot it both ways. We talk about it. Like that's very productive, just to test stuff out. You could check your numbers, where, hey, I'm shooting these types of splits, or these are my transition times. What does somebody else get? Is that good? Is that bad? Like, oh yeah, this stacks up okay. So my thoughts are, it adds accountability. You get a set of eyes on your shooting, and it's fun to hang out with your homeboys without sacrificing productivity. So, I mean, obviously, if they want to check out like recoil springs, or they want to chat more than practice, then that's a major issue. But that's decided by motivation and not by their skill level. So yes, of course, having a strong guy is better. But, if they're at your level or a little bit lesser, you can still get stuff from it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they're there to practice, which most people, quite frankly, are not at the range to do that. Yeah. Which is totally fine. I don't really give a shit, but you just have to recognize if somebody's there to practice or not.
And if they're there to practice, then iron sharpens iron. Let's go.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah. So what gets somebody disqualified from training with Joel Park? I'm just curious, man. You're spoiled for choice. Like
I know. Honestly, I could probably pick a half a dozen guys that I would like happily go train with tomorrow. Pretty easy. Yeah, just like obviously safety. If safety is an issue, like that's the first problem. But otherwise, like just focus. Hey, I'm there to train. If you want to bring out your 1022 or test out recoil springs or some that's cool. I'm just not there to do that. So as long as they're on the same page and they want to train, then that's perfect. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. But yes, with 2 people, it shouldn't slow you down. With 3, it usually does.
Like with you and Gaston, it was that was very good.
Well, we
also had 2 bays.
So that's a different situation then.
So there was rarely a situation where all 3 of us were waiting on 1 bay. We're 3 guys on 1 bay. I don't know that I would have a situation where I'd really want to. Unless it was a special situation, or we were setting up maybe, I don't know, something to simulate a match or bigger stages or something.
Or you're just shooting with guys you haven't shot with in a while.
Yeah.
Or out there for longer or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes. It drives me nuts to be waiting. All right, Joel, let's go to a question. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it relates pretty specifically to a match, and that seems like kind of a distraction. I'll just read the questions.
Okay.
And I'll show you, Joel, this is regarding a match that did not post the stages ahead of time. Okay. Level 2 match, I think. All right. So I'll just read through the questions so we can have a conversation. Number 1, is it the norm to not reveal the stage diagram for a level 2 or higher match? 2, do you think it's okay that the local club members should have access to the stages when others do not? 3, doesn't this piss all over competitive equity? Number 4, what would you do if people are providing this information, like the stage diagrams, to third parties before the match when it's not publicly posted?
So it's like a good old boy system, maybe.
Maybe. I'm not familiar with how this crap gets planned, but how many people plan these stages / have access to this info / can train the skills required in the stages ahead of time at a normal section match? 6, is it normal for one club to set up section matches to the exclusion of any other club in the section? I don't know what that really means.
I don't either.
Yes. But if I read the whole email, it would be pretty specifically identifying the match, and you'd have a really good idea what this guy was talking about. Okay. But that's kind of a distraction. So let's talk about posting these stages before a level 2 match. Do you feel like that's helpful for the competitors or not? What would you say, Joel?
I think it's kind of expected that most matches do, but when I look at that, the only thing I look at is there any weird start positions? Like, let's say it's a table start, like City, like half the match is gonna be table starts. Like, hey, maybe I'll want to work on that. Or I look through it and I'm like, hey, there's a bunch of one-handed shooting. Hey, before the match, I'm gonna work on that. But other than like start positions or anything really weird, it doesn't really mean anything to me because it's never gonna be the same on the ground as it is in the match book. But
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's not very much of a competitive equity issue, barring Maybe that that there'll be a 50-yard standards at your section match and you know what it is, and then that's not posted and Joel Park goes and trains on that. That would be a competitive equity issue, but that's unusual.
I agree.
Okay. However, if I'm the match director for a level 2 match, I'm going to post the stages. Why? Why would I post them, Joel?
I think it's just common courtesy. Otherwise, you're gonna get a bunch of emails and messages first of all, asking where they're at. So
where
just posting
stages?
Would alleviate that issue first thing.
Well, and then you just sidestep all conversations like this. Then there's no question about, oh, it's not fair. These guys over there that got the stages, I don't have the stages. You just like boom, you just cut all that off if you post the stages.
Yeah,
I would say.
I don't think there's any type of I don't know. I wouldn't really care, I guess, if I went to a match and I didn't see him beforehand. But I think it's just kind of like common courtesy. And I think it's just kind of expected that, I guess I don't know of any matches around me that don't do that. So it would be more odd to see a match not publish them.
Yes, that would be odd. But that was the situation here. So there it is.
What else? Do you have more questions, or we get through all of them?
More questions with what?
No. Was there more questions, or do we go through everything he asked?
How many people plan these stages? Can train? Well, like, what should be done if this info goes to third parties when it's not posted?
Oh, well, the other part. I guess the other point I wanted to make was that you should be walking the stages the day before anyway, and that should give you ample time to make stage plans. So it's not like you're showing up. You're making your stage plan the 5-minute walkthrough, because even if I have the match book a month ahead of time, I'm not going to make any stage plans until I get there. And you should be getting there the day before anyway, if it's possible to look at everything. So you should have plenty of time to make your stage plan. So it's not like you're running out of time to come up with a plan, or you're fighting the clock that somebody else had more time than you did.
Yeah. So that's not where we want to be, is it?
No, I don't think that puts you at a disadvantage at all.
All right. Well, Joel, another bang up podcast, just the two of us, which is fine.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Well, listeners, if you have a question you want the answer to, go to benstigger.com. Send us your question. We'd love to hear from you. Should I kill this thing, Joel?
I was just waiting for the light to go off. I'm like, don't do anything crazy.
Don't say anything crazy? When have I ever said crazy stuff?
I don't know. I'll just start cursing